One of our clients, a super talented brand and commercial photographer, recently reached out in a total panic. She had delivered a full gallery of images to a very big name brand that she was working with. And per their contract, she had a really good brand and commercial contract that she used. It was ours. Great. But this was through our law firm that she was contacting us. The client in that contract had ownership over the final images because there was a full assignment of copyright there. So great news. But the catch was that one of the images that the brand was now submitting for copyright registration through the US Copyright Office, one of those images had gone through heavy AI editing, some background replacements, a few facial cleanups, even AI generated product enhancements. So when the client submitted it to the US Copyright Office for protection, it got a pretty quick rejection, if you can believe it. And the Copyright Office flagged it for potential AI generated content and then requested full disclosure of what parts were human made versus AI made. And it became this complicated mess of a back and forth. And in the end, the copyright registration was denied. This is happening more and more, especially in creative industries. And that is why understanding how to disclose AI use is no longer optional, my friend. It is essential. So today we are talking about the legal and ethical use of AI in your business and how to protect yourself and your content in the age of artificial intelligence. So let's get into it. Hey there, I'm Paige Griffith, your host, an attorney for small business owners, and the founder of The Legal Page. I help online businesses and creatives get legally legit in no time. In this podcast, I break down and simplify legal talk while providing practical business guidance every step of the way. With over a decade of experience in both entrepreneurship and the law, think of me as your go-to legal resource, here to tackle all those what-if scenarios so that you can focus on what you do best, growing your business. As a gentle reminder and disclaimer, I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney, so be sure to seek legal counsel for personalized advice. Welcome to the Legally Legit Podcast. I really want to start out this episode with the benefits and the pitfalls of AI in business and in legal work too, because that is something I learned about in a recent CLE continuing legal education class that I took. And it's kind of the catalyst for where this episode is coming from, because I have been researching so much about AI and disclosure and notice for the online business world and specifically creative service-based industry. So let's start with the good stuff, right? AI, we've been hearing this in podcasts and all kinds of talks. If you go to a conference, you're going to have massive AI talks about it. You're going to have massive AI platforms with booths talking about how great AI is. You're probably utilizing AI day in and day out in your business. It is a game changer for efficiency and making your workflows and systems better. It is also a great brainstorming partner, right? It can help you outline blog posts, draft marketing copy, brainstorm kind of contract clauses, wink, wink. I don't suggest using those clauses, but it can help you brainstorm them. I'm going to talk about that later. It can help you summarize lengthy info. I use it all the time when I am like debriefing from something. I'll just write in my notes app all of the things that come to mind, like bullet point, and just get it all out there. And then I'll put it into ChatGPT and I'll say, summarize this, make this a really good note and debrief for my team. And then it'll just regurgitate all of it into the most beautifully crafted copy that I could ever think of. And also in my own brand tone and voice. So it clearly saves you time and boosts efficiency. It's also really, really helpful for solo entrepreneurs or small teams who are doing things themselves and they need assistance, but they don't have the extra income or disposable income to be able to hire right now. AI is this beautiful tool that can basically assist you with things that you had no idea you could be assisted with. But here is the catch. While AI is great, I highly recommend it. I use it. My team uses it. The legal part of using AI is really, really unknown right now and is basically zero recommended by the legal community. AI lacks human judgment. Base one, it doesn't actually know what's accurate or legally sound. It may have passed the bar, so to speak, but the bar is just a logic test and AI can scroll and pass the bar, right? But AI is not a human. It doesn't actually know what a judge or interpreter is feeling, or it doesn't know things about that judge or interpreter regarding how to effectively submit a brief or how to effectively craft something in like a contract that's going to be easily digestible by a client, or a two-way street that also protects your business but also protects your client. Like, it thinks that when it scrolls the internet, everything that it's regurgitating is legally sound, the output that it's producing. It's not. Also, this is a biggie that I learned in my CLEAT. It hallucinates. AI hallucinates. So a lawyer actually submitted fake court cases written by ChatGPT. Yep, I kid you not. That is the danger. They wrote a brief. The brief that they put into AI created these fake court cases, and then the clerk to the judge was like, "These cases don't exist." I was like putting these through, like doing all of the vetting that they need to do, and then they were like, "These don't even exist. I don't even know where this lawyer got these from." Then the judge reached out to the lawyer and said, "Provide proof." The lawyers then put it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, "No, these are real court cases." Put out the actual citation for the court cases, gave more information related to those court cases. So these lawyers were like, "No, these are legit." They were not. It was hallucinating. AI just completely created fake court cases. Of course, these lawyers got into quite a predicament on malpractice, and I think got disbarred for a little bit. So just be aware that not only are people doing this day in and day out in business owners, but lawyers are misusing AI as well. And it hallucinates. You need to be very aware of that. It's also lacking human judgment. And lastly, it cannot interpret nuances like a lawyer can. For example, AI can draft a refund clause, but it doesn't understand how state laws or industry practices might impact enforcement. So what's going on in the industry? What is industry standard? Will this refund clause actually work? What are your business practices and policies regarding refunds? What has happened over the past 6 to 12 months? And was there a change in 4 state laws regarding refunds that's now kind of commonplace across the United States that we as lawyers and contract lawyers and experts in this field know refund clauses need to be drafted accordingly and changed accordingly to comply with industry standards, practices, and differences in state laws across the board. So here's what I'm trying to say here as a whole. Legal documents need precision. And AI isn't designed to give legal advice. It's trained on patterns, not judgment. It's a robot, not a human. So when I hear all the time, like, well, why can't ChatGPT just create my contract for me? Those are all the reasons why I don't suggest it. And if that isn't enough, there's a lot of reasons why, too, you need to be aware of disclosure of your AI usage if you're using AI in your business, because it also affects copyright laws. So I now want to get into risks and ethical responsibilities for business owners who are using AI, not necessarily of course, there's risks with using it for contract language and those things. It's good for a starting place. It would kind of help you dissect what a long drawn out Google search would, like, "Hey, ChatGPT, this is my scenario. Here's what my clause says on this. Like, what do you suggest? Is there a breach of contract?" It'll give you a good starting place. But I'm going to stop here and say, this morning I was in our Facebook group and someone posted like this huge, long, lengthy, drawn out thing. And they were also saying like, well, I put this into ChatGPT and this is what it told me. And then this is what my lawyer told me. And as someone who's experienced in copyright world, what ChatGPT told them and what their lawyer that they reached out to told them was wrong. I was like, okay, you're clearly just talking to a lawyer down the street who has no expertise in copyright law. And that's actually incorrect. And I had to basically redo everything that they thought was right, and retell them like, hey, this is actually how it would go in a legal setting. And if you filed a lawsuit and sent a cease and desist. So just don't take all your legal advice from ChatGPT. I highly, highly don't recommend that approach. And it's good for gleaning some suggestions from, kind of talking to you about breach of contract, like dissecting everything. But at the end of the day, you need to go talk to a really experienced attorney. Just like you could put in a bunch of symptoms of what type of weird reactions your kid is having into ChatGPT, and then it could give you all of the possible reasons or medical things that could be going on. But truly, if it is something that you need to seek medical advice from, you should go to a true medical professional. Same goes for CPAs, any type of professional that has malpractice insurance, that has to get barred, that knows the ins and outs of their craft and their expertise super well. That's who you should be going to, professionally speaking. All right, risks, ethical responsibilities for you, competence and accuracy. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's legally enforceable. I see people being like, "Oh, this is what ChatGPT told me. It sounds good, right?" It may not be legally enforceable. For example, say you use AI to like draft a service agreement, but it's missing key protections for your service agreement, like a work made for hire clause, for example, or it's missing a really specific term and termination clause that would comply with the majority of state laws. Or just maybe it sounds good, but it's completely violating your state law and your indemnification laws in your state. That's on you, not on ChatGPT. So remember, you're still liable for what you publish or use, and AI does not take any responsibility for it. So you have to go back and put the human touch on it. You have to basically analyze everything as a human and decide, yes, I'm going to publish or use this content, even if AI was a part of it. So competence, accuracy, making sure that you're tying all that up with the human component at the end. Next is transparency and truthfulness. AI may help write your product descriptions, social media captions, blog posts. I just want you to make sure they're accurate. Like I said, they hallucinate, and transparency is key here. Like truthfulness is key here. We're in a trust recession right now. Like false or misleading claims, that's a big old legal red flag and possible FTC issue if you are making false or misleading claims. Even if you think they sound really good, maybe they're completely untruthful. Also, if you are just using ChatGPT for anything like a sales page, people can pick that out so clearly. People get it. We're in a trust recession, and I think AI is a huge part of that. A potential customer or client is going to see that you did not write that AI did. Don't even get me into M dashes here, but if there is a lot of M dashes or bullet points or colons or just weird off the cuff usage that doesn't sound like you know when a true copywriter is in, like an expert copywriter is involved in it, or someone who is the craft in the field, like an adventure elopement photographer. If they have been in business a while and they're writing a sales page, the experiences and the things that they're going to put into that sales page versus a new up and coming or mediocre adventure elopement photographer that's trying to get into education and then just uses ChatGPT for a sales page, you're going to be able to tell the difference. Like, I guarantee it. So be really careful about transparency and truthfulness, specifically with false or misleading claims, because that is a legal no-no. And then privacy matters. So if your AI tool processes sensitive customer data, I want you to double check whether it complies with the GDPR, CCPA, all of the consumer protection laws out there as well. So general data protection regulation, that's in Europe. That's really important to gathering people's personal information and personal data. And then the California Consumer Protection Act. Those are the ones that I just discussed, as well as your own state laws and acts that apply. Be very aware of regulations and laws that are coming out. They're coming out all the time surrounding whether any type of personal information or customer data that you're submitting into an AI platform and it's a generative AI, what are they doing with that personal information, particularly photos, likeness of somebody? You want to double check that. Some tools do store your input to improve their models, and that's the biggest thing that you want to check on. Don't input client details unless you're 1000% sure that it's safe. Don't input a photo with somebody's likeness unless you know that it's not trying to improve their models. It's just doing something to like benefit your AI like editing profile, I think is what it's called. So just be very careful, and always, 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 if in doubt, contact the platform, ask them about this, double check like, hey, I'm really concerned about my clients' privacies. I know that some tools store input to improve their generative output and their models. Please explain to me what your process does. I promise you, every AI platform right now has legal teams, and they get those emails, and then you have documentation and proof on what their answer was to that. So just be very careful, and if in doubt, like just ask, right? Don't just try to dissect what their terms and conditions say on their AI platform. Like go ask them and seek actual suggestions and advice from the right authority. Client work and pricing ethics. So if you are using AI to assist with client deliverables, I really, really want you to be upfront about it. I know it's like commonplace and we all expect AI to be somewhat a part of everybody's process. But one of the big things that I learned in this CLE was lawyers were still charging the same price that they have been, or increasing their pricing while adding in all of this AI systems and workflows. So actually, they're unethically charging their hourly rate because it's taking them way less time to do it. And lawyers are getting dinged for it, like massive malpractice suits, massive legal ethical violations from their states about it. And, bar examiners are looking at it. So just be very, very careful, because the same goes for business owners. Like you cannot charge a premium pricing for AI only work unless it includes your human expertise and review involved in that. So just be very, very careful of that. I think pricing ethics, when AI is coming about and like becoming more commonplace, really needs to be looked at. And I will say, oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm saying this online. Like from a client perspective, I think clients know that it's taking people less time because systems and workflows are getting easier with AI. And so why is your pricing increasing so much? Like maybe you need to check yourself from the neck up and be like, is this an ego thing? Do I have AI implemented? Am I actually spending less time doing this and can produce the same amazing output for my clients and still charge the same price? If that's the case, then you have like a compounding problem of not as you need more clients because you have the time to serve more clients. But I'm going to stop there. I'm sure I could just get on a whole rant here. Just be very aware of that. I don't like pricing ethics and legalities surrounding like your use of AI when then it takes you way less time. So just, just think about that as you're looking at your pricing next. Okay, I digress. Moving on. AI disclosures, what you need to know. This is the biggie here. This is what I really want for the meat of this episode. If you didn't know this, the U.S. Copyright Office launched an AI initiative in early 2023 to examine copyright issues arising from AI. And they published a report in 3 parts, with part 1 focusing on digital replicas, part 2 on kind of copyrightability of AI generative works. And it's really, really, really interesting. So if you go to copyright.gov and then /AI, this is and I'll make sure I link it in the show notes. This is a really, really good, thorough analysis of what the Copyright Office is doing right now surrounding AI and how artificial intelligence is truly becoming a problem with copyrighted works. And when AI is being assisted in the process of creating or the inclusion of AI generated material in like hopefully a larger human generated work, right? Quote unquote. If it's a larger human generated work, the Copyright Office is saying, then it doesn't bar registration or copyrightability. So the Copyright Office has confirmed that. It also finds that the case has not been made for like changes to existing copyright law to provide additional protection for AI generated outputs. But really, these releases are fascinating. If you just go through them, they've been conducting this study for a long, long time regarding copyright issues raised by artificial intelligence. The study is going to continue to check this out. They have basically said that you can't copyright something that is wholly AI generated, or I would say majorly. They're using the word largely human created. I think it's just like they're trying to create a buffer. They don't want to create a standard. They don't want to do a percentage out there. So yeah, they've already denied protection for works that relied too heavily on AI when there isn't this largely human input involved in it. And I will say that the US Copyright Office is like the first big federal body to really address this, but the courts are catching up fast, and disclosure is becoming best practice here. So what I'm going to do here is read through some policy statements that have specifically been made from the Copyright Office. So the answer they are saying really truly depends on the circumstances of a work's creation. The head of the office's examining division warned that the Copyright Office could not, quote unquote, take the categorical position that registration will be denied merely because a computer may have been used in some manner in creating the work. And they noted that a typewriter is a machine that is used in the creation of a manuscript, but this does not result in the manuscript being uncopyrightable. So that view was kind of echoed through the office's kind of declaration on how they are discussing this in-depth dichotomy between how much AI is being presented in a work that might be applied for registration through the US Copyright Office, and whether or not they're going to like categorically say yes or no. And they're not. So last year, in two separate copyright registration matters, the Copyright Office actually publicly addressed the question of copyright in AI generated material. In the first instance, the office refused to register a claim for two-dimensional artwork described as autonomously created by a computer algorithm running on a machine. And then the second registration, which was submitted actually in 2022, involved a work containing both human authorship and generative AI material. And the work was a graphic novel with text written by the human applicant and illustrations created through the use of Midjourney, which is a generative AI system. And after soliciting, so the US Copyright Office grabbed solicited information from the applicant about the process of the work's creation. And the office then determined that the copyrighted protected material contained both human authored text and human selection and arrangement of that text and images, but not the AI generated images themselves. So here's what the office says. They said where a human author lacks sufficient creative control over the AI generated components of a work, the human is then not the quote unquote author of those components for copyright purposes. So in response to a ton of growing public interest, congressional oversight on this, this is when the Copyright Office has launched this AI initiative in early 2023. They've written all of these documents. They've had public listening sessions. They're offering guidance all of the time, looking at inquiries. And now the office is basically saying, here's our policy. Applicants have a duty to disclose the inclusion of AI-generated content in a work submitted for registration and provide a brief explanation of the human author's contributions to the work. So it then goes on, and I'll make sure to link this AI policy guidance from the US Copyright Office. So you guys have it. I'm not just making this up, obviously. I'm trying to be as truthful and clear as possible regarding disclosure. But it goes through how to submit applications for works containing AI generated material, how to correct a previously submitted or pending application, because they require disclosure even if you're in the midst of it. And ultimately, they're just saying we're monitoring new factual and legal developments involving AI and copyright. And of course, they're going to issue guidance in the future related to registration or other copyright issues implicated by this type of technology. Okay, that was a lot. You're probably like, Paige, you're just spewing legal information in my brain, and this is a lot of legalese. Okay, I'm going to dissect this for you. Here's what the US Copyright Office says. You have to disclose AI use in copyright registration. That is bar none, you have to do that. The courts are saying and alluding to exactly what the Copyright Office is telling them to do. So where are we at? What do I recommend here? with AI disclosures. Here's the deal. At the legal page, I believe in running a business that's not just legally compliant, but also ethically sound. And I am looking at what the Copyright Office is doing. They're saying disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. And that is why I recommend AI disclosures in two main places. Even if it's not like legally specifically required by your state or the federal government, that's going to take time. Like laws take time. And I think Utah actually just put out a law, I think the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. I'll have to go check. And I'll link it in the show notes when I find it. A law regarding AI disclosure. So like states are catching up too, and it's going to be the trickle down effect. I'm sure California has stuff as well. But because the Copyright Office is really like telling us, hey, disclosure is the way to go. This is what I suggest. One, in your client contracts, what do? You add in an AI disclosure clause. And you explain if and how AI is being used during your service process. You can be really kind of like broad about it if you use it just for like editing and culling purposes or something along those lines. But that the end product is, largely human created. I use those exact words and phrases in our AI disclaimer clause, and I'll make sure that I link that in the show notes as well. It builds trust. Because we're in a trust recession, and if you can do anything to build that trust with your clients and protect you from claims of misrepresentation or, falsifying AI disclosure or confusion, I would suggest that you put that type of thing in your client contract. If you're using AI very specifically, you know how you're using it, especially if you're using generative AI with any of the work that you're creating for them, and then how you're coming in as a human and really, analyzing and dissecting the whole process and putting your human stamp of approval on it at the end. So client contracts, that goes for like photographers or videographers, and then like social media managers, designers, copywriters. Definitely have an AI disclosure in your client contract. Again, it's just a clause that you put in probably like near your boilerplate language, kind of near the bottom, but maybe at the top of your boilerplate language. And then website terms and conditions. I honestly think every business owner needs to have an AI disclaimer clause in their website terms and conditions. Bold statement there. But I think it's going to become more commonplace. And I'm going to if I can be the trailblazer here to say, you need an AI disclaimer in your website terms and conditions, and I'm the first one to say it, I'm here to stand on this hill. So if you use AI generated content for blogs, for product listings, or automated responses, I want you to say so, specifically for chatbots or automated responses. Because here's what it does. Trust recession. It shows transparency. It, of course, protects your liability. And then it sets user expectations, right? Because sometimes there's just too high of an expectation if you use a lot of AI on your website and your blogs and sales pages and all of these things, that's how you're going to come across in real life, or what the systems and workflows they can expect from a client experience. And I don't like that. There's a huge rub there between what AI is doing on the front end of our business versus what we're actually doing on the client facing side of our business. So just be transparent. Again, I'm going to reiterate this. Website terms and conditions have an AI disclaimer clause. I have that linked for you in the episode description. And then same with client contracts. For photographers and videographers, I have one type of AI disclaimer. And then for other business providers like social media managers, content creators, copywriters, I have a different one for you that's not photographer and videographer specific with a copyrighted image or video. So to wrap this up, pro legal tip here, include language like AI generated content that I have used is reviewed and edited by a human here at Blank Business. That just really clarifies your process, but tells people that you are using it. And then if they have any questions surrounding that, you can disclose that when they, are signing the contract or in the signing process, and you can explain how you are using it and making sure that they are comfortable with any privacy concerns that they have, because lots of people are becoming way more stringent with their personal information, and they have concerns about privacy, especially in this digital age and AI age, and people are going to become more leery of it. So if you can get on the front end of that and show hey, I'm a professional, I knew to put this in my contract and put this in my website terms and conditions, and here's what this means, and let me explain it to you. Oh, let me just tell you how much trust you're going to garner from that client. All right. So If it feels too fast, too perfect, or too cheap to be true, it might be AI. That's not a bad thing, as long as you're clear about it and as long as you disclose it. So here's what I want you to do after this episode. I want you to go review your process, how much AI is being used. Is the majority of it still human created? If it is, just be cautious of an AI disclaimer. If you have like a good percentage of the systems and workflows and processes that you have now in AI is involved in it, I want you to update your client contract and or your website terms and conditions and mention AI use and disclaim that AI use. Because these disclosure clauses, they're simple and they're effective. And it's not some like, 4 paragraph long clause that you need to add in. It's just simple. It's like 1 paragraph long. And it coincides with all of the guidance and policies and recommendations that the US Copyright Office has put out. And of course, if you're not sure how to say or how to word it, I have you covered at the legal page and I have linked them for you. You can get them. They're discounted. I just want everyone and anyone to have them. So hopefully you learned a lot from today's episode. Hopefully it wasn't a whole bunch of legal information and legalese down your throats. But sometimes I do have to give you authorities and give you legal precedent, case law or guidance from a federal authority and office. And I know AI is evolving fast. It can feel like this wild west out there, but the more that you as a business owner stay informed, the more I stay informed, the better that we can all protect ourselves, our clients, and ourselves, like for privacy reasons too, just personally. And that's all I have for today. Just know we have plug and play AI disclaimers and templates that are clauses ready for you. Please, please, please stay smart, stay safe, and as always, stay legally legit. I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for contract templates, blogs, and additional legal resources. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend or on Instagram with your favorite takeaway, and make sure you tag me at The Legal Page. Sharing is one of the best ways you can support the show. And if you've been tuning in for a while and you are finding value in these episodes, it would mean the world to me if you popped over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and left a rating and review. Hearing your feedback absolutely inspires me to continue creating podcast content. Lastly, you can join my free Facebook group at tlpfacebook.com, and this is where you'll get access to me, my legal team, and thousands of other entrepreneurs for unlimited business and legal Q&A. Until next time, my friend.